Welcome back to Global Kid Media. This is Vedant Gupta here with another episode of Global Kid Power Hour. Today we have an amazing guest, Mrs. Kim Murphy. Does a lot of great things with her own nonprofit organization, Successful Jocks, as well as the mother of some great athletes. Mrs. Murphy, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name again is Kim Murphy. I also known as Mama B, Mama Kim, Nana to my 5-year-old grandson. I'm a woman of God, blessed to be a blessing to others. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. I have a master's degree in counseling, and I'm a strong advocate for the mental health well-being of student athletes, of athletes in general. I am a business owner. I founded Successful Jocks and the women behind the uniform. And most importantly, I am a mother of 4 amazing sons. My oldest son, Gregory, was an athlete in high school, and after high school, he decided to pursue his career, other interests. My second oldest son is Sean Murphy Bunting, who plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is a DB with the Buccaneers, going into his second season. He had an amazing rookie season. My third son, Martise, is a football player and student athlete at Saginaw Valley State University in Michigan. He's going into his sophomore year. And then my younger son is headed into high school, ninth grade. His name is Carlton, and he's a baseball player, and he's down here in Tampa, living the life of a baseball, living his dreams, playing and being trained by Esteban Yan. He's enjoying that, and we're enjoying being, I'm enjoying being a sports mom again.
What was it like raising multiple athletes who've been very successful?
Wow, raising athletes, raising 4 athletes. First of all, raising boys. Being the only woman in the house and raising 4 sons was very challenging. It was very, I was busy, 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 busy all the time. Being had to be on the different fields, getting them to practice, washing uniforms. But it was very rewarding as well. When I look back on it, I wouldn't trade it for anything. But the most important part of it was, you know, and it's a tip to other mothers or other parents raising, athletes, is that you have to make sure that they know that they're their own person, and not have to live in the shoes of their brothers or their sisters or whoever it is that's playing sports. Because that was one challenge that I had, to make sure that they understood that I was proud of them for them, not because of what their brother did, or the accomplishments of someone else, but because of what they're doing. And I made sure that they understood that they were unique in their, everybody's talent have this talent in their own different way, and to make sure that they have they're unique in their own way. And those are things that I made sure that I talk to my sons about, is that I didn't compare them. I never mentioned your brother did this, or you should do this, or your brother is great at this, or you should be at that. And I also made sure that I didn't allow other people to do that. There was a time when my son Martise was going through the recruiting process, and coming behind his brother Sean. And during that time, he was a senior. Sean had just got drafted. It was really, really hard for him to make a name for himself. We would go to the different camps, and everybody would say, the coaches would say, "Oh, you're Sean's little brother." He was never addressed by Martise. It was always, "You're Sean's little brother." And I saw that he was never compared to the other senior, kids, athletes out there. He was always being compared to Sean. So that made him, his confidence a little low. So I had to make sure that I, spoke to him and just assured him, that he can be, everything that God has, who God wants him to be, and he has to follow in his own footsteps. Matter of fact, I would always joke with him and say, "Hey, your feet is bigger, so you can't wear his shoes anyway." So, that's the tip that I want to leave with the parents too, raising multiple athletes. You have to be organized, you have to be dedicated, you have to sacrifice. I sacrificed so much of me to make sure that, my children were happy, to make sure that they're living their dreams and doing the things that they want to do. When they were, God blessed them with, exceptional athletic ability. And I had to water that ability. I had to water that talent. I had to water that passion. I had to feed that passion, and I had to be there. So, raising, multiple athletes, it's a job. It's a job to raise kids, but to have to be, at here and there and everywhere and just give up, basically I gave up my life for them to make sure that they were happy and make sure that they were where they needed to be. I can recall there was one year, they all were baseball players. So we played, my kids played travel baseball, they played AAU basketball, which is travel basketball, they played football, it was 7-on-7 travel football, high school football, high school baseball, high school basketball. So, I was that mother that was always there, in the stands. I would drop them off and I would, stay. I wouldn't leave. I would grab my bag or whatever. I might be working on some things or multitasking during that time, but I was always there. And I can remember one year, and it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I had 300 baseball games to go to during the baseball season. And, my calendar was unreal. I had to write everything down. So my calendar was just every day, every hour, just scribbled everywhere. So I, would always sit down and try to figure out how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to get to this game, drop him off. He got to be at practice. He got to be picked up, but I managed to get it done. I mean, I think there was probably only about 15 games that I didn't go to. Now, I might not have made it through all of the innings, but I might have said, oh, you know what? I'm going to stay 2 innings and I got to leave and go get your brother. And they understood that, and they, made sure that, it was okay. Mama, if you can't stay, it's okay. They didn't make me feel bad, but I, wanted to make sure that I was supporting them equally. I did not want to seem like I had a favorite player. I had a favorite son. I would enjoy going to, this game and wouldn't go to this game. So, even though sometimes I had to it was funny because I had to kind of calm myself down or try to okay, I'm on a Thursday, I'm at a little league, I'm at a middle school football game. On Friday, I'm at a high school football game. And on Saturday, I'm at a college game. So I'm like, okay, this is a little boring or this is a little too fast. So I was on this little emotional roller coaster ride when it came to, how I'm supporting them, but I was always there to support them. So raising them, I learned a lot. I learned, how to be organized because I would have been crazy if I was, wasn't organized with my busy schedule. There were days that I would go to work. I worked about 40 minutes from my house. So, we moved out to, a suburban area of Detroit. We still play ball in the inner city. So a lot of times I would, go to work. And this is when they were younger. I would go to work, drive to Detroit to work, drive back home. I would not even get out the car. I would blow the horn, come on out. They jump in the car. We would drive back to Detroit another 40 minutes. I would sit through football practice, which was usually from about 6 till about 8:30. We would get back home. Then I still had to do dinner. I still had to do homework. I still had to wash uniforms. I still had to prepare for lunch and things for school the next day. So it was an ongoing thing, and football didn't stop. So it was Monday through Friday. Saturdays was the games, and Sundays I was trying to figure out how I was going to get through Monday through Friday again. So it was tough. It was tough, but I want other mothers to know that you can do it. Just keep focusing in on and watering your kids' passion. And help them get where they need to go and hold them accountable. Also, as they were growing up, I had to make sure that they were responsible. Did you forget this? Do you have this? Pack this. Got your Gatorade? So that those things could they could take some things off of me, so I wouldn't have to work as hard.
So that's amazing what you were able to do for your kids, and now what you're doing with your nonprofit to help other mothers and other families as well. Tell me a little bit about your nonprofit and what your mission is.
Okay, Successful Jocks and the Women Behind the Uniform. It's a 501c3 nonprofit that's dedicated to making a difference in the lives of male athletes by empowering the women, supporting and motivating them. And I basically, I wanted to be a support system, to mothers raising athletes. I wanted to share my story and just, provide a roadmap, for the women. So our mission is to inspire, motivate, empower, and equip women nurturing male athletes with the tools, resources, and support needed to help them reach their maximum potential in life. And it's not just in sports; it's in life in general. Our vision, Successful Jocks vision, is a world positively affect. I mean, I'm sorry, a world positively impacted by successful men, leaders, fathers, sons, husbands, and role models.
Tell me how you came up with the name Successful Jocks and what the meaning behind that is.
I came up with Successful Jocks because when I was growing up in high school and in college, I used to hear the term a lot, dumb jock, if it's an athlete doing something, that's what was said. Oh, he's just a dumb jock, and, that really bothered me during that time. And, you know, the stereotype that was placed on athletes, like I said, during the time that I was growing up, when God gave me, four athletes, that was one of the things that, stuck in my mind that, I'm going to make sure that they're not stereotyped. I want them to, make sure that they can be successful on and off the field. A jock is an enthusiastic athlete, and I wanted them to be enthusiastic about life in general. So that's how I came up with the name Successful Jocks, and it reminds me that, I have to work hard and push them even harder to be successful. So if you want to be an athlete, you have to be successful on and off the field. So that's how I came up with the name Successful Jocks. I want people to understand that athletes are not, some people still have that stereotype, or they just, prima donnas, or they just this, or they, that, or they think, this way, or they think that way. But they're human. They're adults, when they grow up to be professional athletes. They're kids. They're just like everybody else, and it's not fair for them to be stereotyped as a dumb jock, just because that's the way it used to be. So I just want to make sure that everybody understand that, they're, especially my children, they're successful, okay? And I'm pushing for that, for them to be successful, and I want to be that voice to help other people, and inspire other people to know that, other women to know that, your children can be successful in whatever it is that they do. It doesn't have to be, athletics. They can play sports and then they go on to be successful doctors, successful lawyers. So the word success, is a motivational word. It helps people understand that, it's reachable. My Successful Jocks is reachable for you to be successful.
It's an amazing name and an amazing kids that you've raised there. Your foundation, everything you're doing is amazing. What programs do you offer with Successful Jocks?
Well, the first I came up with like three different programs, and all of the programs are near and dear to my heart. The first one is the women behind the uniform, and I ended up adding that to my title. So Successful Jocks and the women behind the uniform. The women behind the uniform is a program where women alike can come together and be inspired, motivated, and recharged. It's where we can act. We're a unique group of women. You know, Raising athletes, like I said, it's not an easy job. To be able to be everywhere and do everything we need to do to make sure that they're where they need to be. So, it's a place for us to feel safe to discuss, the challenges we might face, ask questions, get answers, and just a resource, and it's where we bond and we grow and we support one another, all with the same common goal. So, the women behind the uniform, I'm looking forward to doing workshops and empowerment events, and, just outreach through, social media, and just encouraging, providing, inspiration, to all of the women behind the uniform. So I developed that program just to make sure that we're, working, or we're helping, ourselves become strong, as well as, working with our student athletes. Some of the topics that, I would discuss would be, nutrition and, safety and, athletic performance. And really the most important one is the championship game of life. What is it like? Some of the challenges that I face, and some of the things, that I've learned, raising sons, as well as being raised with brothers. I was the only girl in the house, when I was growing up. I don't have, my mother was the only child, my father was the only child, so I don't really have a big family. So I was basically the only woman. My mother passed away, several years ago. So I'm here with four sons and brothers and a grandson. So I just want to share some things that I know firsthand about the males, male athletes. So that's the women that, the women behind the uniform program is just an inspiration, to provide motivation and inspiration for other women that's, in the same situation that I'm in. And then my next program is called the Blessed to Be a Blessing program. So in that program, I know that I was blessed to be a blessing. I know that my family is blessed to be a blessing. It is truly a blessing to be a sports mom for the last 19 years, actually 20 years now. This year, 2020 is 20 years of me being a sports mom. And in 2019, my son, reached his ultimate goal, and that's to be an NFL player, and was drafted in the second round. In the 2019 draft. So with that being said, I know that, everything that I've, accomplished throughout life has been a blessing from God. And I want, and my family wants to be a blessing back. I know that like I said, we're blessed to be a blessing. So this program is a community outreach program where, I will be out in the community working hand in hand with, single mothers raising, you know, single mothers in general, raising children. I know how hard it was as a single mother raising kids alone. So single mothers, I want to be a blessing to them. I want to be a blessing to mothers raising children in homeless shelters. I want to be a blessing to kids in foster care. As when my degree, like I said, my degree is in counseling. So I was a foster care worker for years, and to see those kids, they always touch my heart, and I want to be able to give back and be a blessing to kids that's in foster care, and kids in homeless shelters. I want to be a blessing to mothers raising children with disabilities, because they're all facing challenges, and I know what it's like, to face challenges. I know what it's like to be a mother that's, need help and don't know where to get it, so I want to be that blessing and be out there in the community, helping out with, other mothers who don't have athletes as their sons, and just, be able to give back. I also have a program called the College Dorm Room Makeover Contest. And this program, like I said, it came as a result of, me, the kids going to college, and I was fortunate, for, my son Sean got a full ride scholarship. My other son Martise has a partial scholarship. However, there is still things that they need when they get to college. They still need a comfortable home away from home. Football players, they're out there every day getting their body beat up, and they want a comfortable bed. And all of those things cost money. For mattress pads and computers and things that they might need, supplies, and everything that they might need to go away to college. I can remember spending thousands of dollars trying to prepare them to be successful in school. So I want to be able to be a blessing back to the mothers who can't afford it, who financially are having some difficulties. But I just don't want to give the players you know uh, laptops and things like that. They have to earn those things. If you go on the field and you earn a spot to play and you do that, it's not just all about sports. So you have to be, you have to earn some things on and off the field. So I want to hold them accountable, and during that time, they can write an essay, and submit the essay, and they can win those type of things. They can win computers and laptops, and a complete dorm room makeover. The comforter and the printer and the laptop and everything they need. And the questions that I have for them is, what does it take to become a successful jock? And I look forward to reading what these young athletes have to say. So this program is open to student athletes who's a senior going into college. I want to be able to provide through an essay contest some of the necessary things that they need, and take the stress off of their minds.
That's amazing. The programs that you're offering and the way that you're doing it is also incredible. Describe the unique way that you fundraise.
Outside of the normal way of trying to get sponsorships and grants and donations and just private donations and things like that, I came up with getting the athletes who have made it to give back, and one of those ways that it's easy to ask for money, but it's hard to really expect them to want to provide or to give money, because everybody is pulling at them, for money. Once they get drafted, that's the conversation is about. Oh, they have all this money. Can we have me? Give me. So I wanted to come up with something. I wanted them to give back and to be able to lift other athletes up and to help, other mothers who might be going through some of the things that their mother went through. So I came up with a program or a fundraising way, and it's called "Can I Have Your Autograph, Please?" And basically, I'm asking for professional athletes, and it doesn't matter if you in the Major League Baseball, NBA, MLB, whatever, to donate signed autographs. It could be a glove, it could be a bat, it could be a hat. I just want some signed autograph memorabilia so that I could use that, if I do a silent auction, or use it as a fundraising tool, or even use it as an inspirational tool to give back when I go to these, foster homes or homeless shelters, to be able to, talk about the player, because I'm really into sports. I love athletes. It gives me an opportunity to, connect with them and talk to them, and, share my story and listen to their story and provide inspiration. So it's something that I love to do, is to, is to walk around and find different athletes, talk to them, and, things like that. So, I want to be able to, go back into to that foster child, or to that, that kid in the homeless shelter, and say, here, this hat came from this person, and this who he is, and let me tell you about him, and so I came up with that program so that I could, fund, somewhat my organization, but as well as so I can interact with, the players, and to interact with their moms, and to give back to the community.
Now, one thing that I always found impactful was when players talk to people and connect with them on a personal level. Have you ever thought about having players make a video and send it to these foster care organizations or anything of that nature?
Yes, that's actually a good idea. I talk to my son all the time about, giving back, and there's ways that you can give back. That's just, small ways that you give back. A video. I mean, they all have phones. They all have, computers and things like that. It doesn't take very long to, just record something and be able to push send and send it so that it can get out to, to be an inspiration to someone else. So that is a great idea, for that. And my thing is, establishing a relationship with these players. And that's why I said, can I have your autograph, please? I really want to connect with them so that I can establish a relationship with them. And then, they'll be willing to, to give me, to do that for me, to give me that information. It's kind of hard, and I understand it's kind of hard for them. Sometimes they get, the wrong, sometimes people get the wrong impression, or they wasn't personable, or they was, didn't want to sign an autograph. But we have to understand that this is their life. This is what they do all the time, and sometimes, they can't do it every time. So, to be able to meet these guys, and, in their spare time, even if I did it in the off season, whatever, in their spare time, to get them to shoot me a little video, and I can send it to the kids and things like that, or even, FaceTime them while I'm there, some things like that. My son is willing to do it, and that's because those are the things that I talk to him about. You were blessed to be a blessing, and you never know, something you said, something you did, is blessing somebody else. So, and I always tell him that, you walk in your job is to, play football. However, there are people there that take out their time, their money. There's parents that buy these jerseys that's very expensive, buy these tickets that expensive. And, on your way in the door, you should be, shaking somebody's hand, or smiling at somebody. On your way out, win, lose, or whatever, you should be going into that tunnel, making sure that the fans know, and those kids that screaming your name know that you care. So it doesn't take much to, sign one autograph. I know that you can't sign them all. You sign one and you keep going, but that's your job, is to make sure that your customers are happy and your fans are your customers, basically. And that's how I explain it to him. So he understands that. He's that type of person anyway. He'll go out of his way to make sure that, he's very caring, to make sure that, everybody know that, he's like I said, he's very caring. So and that like that question that you asked me, that is very important for me, to just make those personal connections, so these kids just not just see them on TV, that they can see them, in other avenues, in other ways.
That's great. That's making a difference in the world and impacting society. But another thing that's going on in the world right now is obviously with the death of the late George Floyd and all the racial tension in the world right now. Being a colored mother and seeing your kids go through this whole sports journey, have you ever seen your kids experience racism in sports?
Well, I can honestly say, yes, I have, and mainly in baseball. Baseball, there's not a lot of black, baseball players. Especially, in Michigan. We played travel ball. We played travel ball, nonstop. There was one year that I had one Saturday out of 365 days. I had one Saturday that I was home because I was on the road traveling, either with baseball, basketball, AAU, 707, something. So with baseball, we're out there every week, and it was pretty much every weekend we had a baseball tournament. We're traveling all over. All three of my boys play baseball: Martise, Sean, and Carlton, and he's currently playing now. And we're doing, the travel ball thing now. So um, with baseball, when they walk into the dugout or when they walk to the field, most of the time it's just them, and that was a conversation that I had to have with them, a lot, especially when they were younger, because they didn't understand it. That you have to still continue, you have to work hard, you have to go out there and work hard. If you want to be, if you want to be successful, you have to not pay attention to it's just you out there, and those are the things that we experienced. That I would be at the baseball tournaments, and it's probably, out of 300 or 400 people, I probably can count like 10 black people, and as a minority, woman, it was kind of hard for me, but I had to toughen up, and I had to understand that, in order for my boys to be able to, get through it, I had to mentally prepare them for that. And as a counselor, and just as, a strong minded individual myself, I made sure that, they understood what was going on during the time, and to this day, it's still the same way. My youngest son, my other two kind of struggle. Actually, Sean was the first who experienced it, and he went through it. He had some times where he wanted to give up, because he would, be, make the team and be the leadoff batter, and things like that. And a couple games in, he's the last one batting, and he's in the dugout, or he, if they have more than enough players, sometime they would have to, sit on the bench, and he's the first to sit on the bench when he felt that he was the better player, And so those were conversations that I used to have with him all the time. Martise went through it as well, and he wasn't at the time as strong as Sean mentally, as far as dealing with that. He wanted to give up a lot of times. Sean was the type where, I'm better than them, and I'm gonna keep on playing. If they want to sit me on the bench, oh well, that type of thing. But he knew in his heart, and Martise had to be built up for that. Like I said, trying to which everybody's trying to make him live in his brother's shoes. So he was dealing with that, and his identity. They look, you know, just alike, really. People see him. Oh yeah, you're Sean's little brother. So he was dealing with that. So with trying to fit in on a team with him being the only black, it was a little rough for him. And then my other son, he being the youngest, he kind of went through the same thing and still going through the same thing. Um, but he has his brothers to help him. He not only have to hear me, tell him this is the way it's supposed to be, and I'm a woman trying to tell, a 14-year-old boy that this is the way it's supposed to be. He hear it from his brothers about the experiences they had in the dugout, and they inspired him to keep going. And he's okay with it. So yes, to answer your question, yes, we have experienced, you know, I would say racism. Yes, I feel a certain way when I was out on the field. The only mother. Sometimes the only black mother, and really the only mother out there, because, like I said, I would stick around. I would stay, especially in baseball, because I wanted to know that they were okay. I wanted to know that they were being treated fairly. So I would stick it out. I don't care if it's 100 degrees. I'm out there in my chair watching what's going on. So I would have to, there are a lot of times that I would have to do the most to make sure that they understand that I'm not prejudiced. So I had to, make sure I'm talking to everybody, even if they didn't want to talk to me, because I didn't want my sons to feel like they were being isolated because I wasn't involved or I didn't talk or anything. So I'm a talker. I love people. I don't care what color you are. I love people. And so I would, but I noticed that I would have had to do the most. I would have to go out and, hey, how you doing? And talk to people. And they didn't freely come over and talk to me. I would come in and speak to everybody and walk past everybody and say good morning, or how you doing, or whatever. So as a result, yes, but am I upset about it? I am upset about it, but I know that it mentally prepared my sons. That is the one sport that helped them develop mental toughness, and that's what's needed to be successful. You have to train your mind to be great, and your talent will follow. It's all in your mind. And if you don't have confidence in yourself and you can't, get through adversity, it's hard to go further.
That's amazing, and the journey that you've been through to show your sons that they can do anything. It's truly impressive. So one thing I do with all my guests, though, here at Global Kid Media, I try to do a fun segment, and I flip the switch, have the person I'm interviewing interview me. How would you like to do that?
Yes, I would love to.
All right, let's do it. What questions you got?
Okay, I have one question for you, and it's basically the topic of my college dorm room essay contest. And the question is, what does it take to become a successful jock? And a jock is an enthusiastic athlete. So I'm going to rephrase it, and I'm going to ask you, what does it take to become a successful news reporter?
Well, I'll tell you what, I do play sports all year round as well. So I just started football season yesterday, locked up at QB for this starting season in my ninth grade season. So I play sports as well, and balancing that with school. I take mostly 3 to 4 year classes above my grade. So I was in eighth grade this year, taking mostly 10th grade classes, and balancing that with what I do as on the journalist side of things, traveling all over the country, covering all of these different events, talking to all these different athletes like Sean. And the biggest thing is confidence, really. Acting like you've been there before. I mean, I've been in so many situations where I've been thrown out by security for simply the fact that I'm a kid, and things like that. So it brings your confidence down. But if you walk into something like you own the place, it looks like you own the place, and you look like you belong there. So that's probably my biggest advice. Other than that, always stay confident in yourself. Whatever you do, don't have any regrets. Everything you say, just know that you mean it, and say it with full passion. You go all in or all out. So that's what it takes to become a successful jock as far as the sports reporting side goes.
And you hit it right on. When I first met you, I looked at you and I said, you know what, this guy, this little kid is success. He's going to be a success. Your passion for what you're doing. and just the way you carry yourself. I was so very proud of you. And that's why, I made sure that I stay connected with you, and I want to be a help to you in any way that I can. You are one of those people who believe in yourself, and that you reminded me so much of my children. You believe in yourself, you have faith, you know that you can do all things, and it shows, in your persistence. I know I saw a show, one of the segments you were talking about, some people get persistence confused with being a pest, but when you really want something, you can't worry about what other people think. You just got to keep going, keep working hard, and you eventually, you keep walking down your path, your journey, your footsteps are ordered. You keep walking down that path, eventually you will get to that sign, that road that says success, and you are headed there, and you stay on the path. I always tell my kids, you stay on the path that was designed for you, not for nobody else. And if you stay on that path, eventually you're going to get there. Sometimes you get some detours, and you go down some side streets to try to see what's going on down there, but you see once you get down there that ain't nothing happening, you turn around and you come back and you get back on your road, and you believe in yourself, and you never let nobody tell you that you can't do something, because you can do all things. It starts within you, it starts with you. When my son was going through the draft process, I heard so many negative things. What can't happen. He's coming from a small school, and he's leaving early, and he's not that good, and he's this and he's that. But the thing that I told him during that time, and I still tell all of them now, is silence the noise around you. Listen to that inner voice. That inner voice is God telling you that He created you for a purpose. And you find that purpose, you follow that path, and you just keep going. And your purpose is, you talk about it all the time. You want to be an inspiration to other kids, and I know for a fact that they see all of these videos and interviews that you're doing, that you are definitely inspiring them and inspiring a whole bunch of other adults to make sure that they have, this kid can do it, I know I can do it. So you keep doing, what you're doing, and success is here for you. It's not there, it's here. It's just a greater success when you get to everything that you want to, get to your goal. And you want to be the first national sideline reporter. I see that in your future. And you just have to keep connecting and keep working hard and never give up, no matter what nobody tell you. Just keep going. Your father reminded me so much of me. When I saw him at that banquet, and I knew it was a school night. I knew you had to be at school the next day. You told me you were from Flint. You drove an hour and a half away. You still had to get home and get to bed. And I've been there. So seeing your father and seeing how passionate he was about helping you, and he's behind the scenes doing, he's a man behind the scenes. Okay, he's behind the scenes doing everything that he needs to do to help you become successful, even with some challenges of not knowing the system and not knowing how to navigate. So but he's willing to ask questions and to help you become successful. So you just keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it a lot, and like you said, it's the successful people behind you. My parents support me so much, just like you did your kids. I mean, my dad taking me all the places, and my mom sometimes coming to help me study, or staying home to help my sister, and it's just been a great support system, just like your Successful Jocks. So tell me, where can people find you, and what social media platforms are you on? Your website, all of those things.
Okay. My social media platforms are Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and they're all Successful Jocks. My website is successfuljocks.org, and I just want everyone to follow me, because I'm not just inspiring, mothers raising athletes, or just athletes in general. So I just want to make sure that everybody understand that, I'll be providing some motivation, some inspiration to all people. I love people, and I love to be a blessing.
That's amazing. Listen, I appreciate you coming on Global Kid Power Hour. We had a great talk today, and I'm looking forward to all the success that you've been providing to different people, like you said, everyone, not just athletes or parents or things like that. So you've been helpful on my journey for sure. The supporters that I've been able to have, one of them in you, and I appreciate you for always believing in me.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, that's going to wrap up the Global Kid Power Hour. This has been Vedant Gupta, and this is Kim Murphy from Successful Jocks. Tune in tomorrow for the Sunday conversation at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and the rest of the week, Global Kid Power Hours at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much.